Hello everybody and welcome back to another skill discussion. Today we're going to be looking at Herblore. And why is Herblore simultaneously the best and worst skill in the entire game? It's undeniable that Herblore carries the rest of the combat skills, but what would Herblore look like if it was shown the same amount of love that some of the other skills have been shown over the years? So that's what we're going to look at today by adding in new recipes, updating dead content, adding in a new boss, minigame improvements, and a new Guardians of the Rift style minigame. So first and foremost, I think an Herblore Guild or location for Herblore to go down is necessary. Like we already have druids around the place, it would be cool if we could incorporate them into our Herblore Guild design. So if we were going to place the Herblore Guild in Karamja, maybe somewhere between Shilo village and Wannai village, a new sect of druids could have popped up and literally grown their building from the ground, from the Karamja jungle trees, into a fantastic new Herblore Guild. Obviously the theme is nature here. You might even see a glass roof, being somewhat reminiscent to the farming guild. In the first area you'll see herb patches. This may introduce a brand new patch for you to farm your herbs, but when I'm going to be talking about herb patches today, I'm going to be talking about herb patches like the Sorcerer's Garden herb patches, one where they just grow and you can go up to and pick. There would obviously be a time limit on it, like once or twice a day, like a new daily that you would be able to unlock when you enter into your Herblore Guild. At the very least, ending off your herb run with this would exponentially increase your herb gain. A minimum skill level of most likely 60 would be necessary to enter into the Herblore Guild. And not a lot of people know, but there's a favor mechanic in Wannai that's often forgotten, and we actually have a better example of favor in Zaya. So if we were going to incorporate the Wannai favor, maybe we update that to be a little bit more in line with Zaya's favor system to make it not degrade. Favor could be tied to the entrance as well, getting 100% Wannai favor to even enter into the Herblore Guild. Into the second area, you would see there's a crystal clear lake and a river running along the side that leads into an underground cavern. To the side of this river, you'll see a barbarian. This barbarian is a little bit of a mix between the jungle natives and the barbarians of the north. He's there willing to teach you about barbarian fishing and barbarian herb lore, something that's underutilized in the game and would be revamped in this skill idea. Also giving you a new place to learn these skills other than from Auto God Bless. Moving right on to the next area. Somewhat a social hub, you'll see a bar and store connected into one, where you can buy different sorts of teas, beers, stews, pies, uncooked pies, maybe even basic potions from the bartender, a bank off in the corner, and a voting booth right next to it. And at the back of this room, you'll see two brewing vats where the bartender is more than happy to teach you the ins and outs of brewing, which at the exact same time as barbarian herblore is going to get revamped to be more in line with current potions. So I guess it's time for me to actually break down what I mean by improving barbarian potions and the brewing system. Barbarian potions are okay, but traditionally only used to make just a little bit extra experience when you gotta squeak out that level to get to hopefully 99. People don't particularly use barbarian potions for anything because there is a better alternative with its potion counterpart, meaning barbarian potions should be at a lower level to begin with. A barbarian potion should be seen as a crude version of the potion that you are trying to make, therefore it should be several levels below the potion beforehand. And all you would need to do this is add the row to the vial of water to make it an unfinished potion, and then add your secondary to make it a finished barbarian potion. It could be super simple and easy to utilize at the lower levels. Now let's talk about brewing, because brewing has a lot of problems. It's hard to get into and it doesn't work half of the time. So the success rate of brewing should be shot through the roof. It should be almost impossible to fail. Not to mention that the utility of brewing is very limited right now because the beers that we currently have in the game are limited. So this would be a great opportunity for us to add a 4-dose potion into the brew, and then all 10 of our beers would be able to have a potion effect. It could be super simple, but now you have 10 potion effect beers. Taking your 4-dose potion all the way down to a 10-dose beer would be amazing. Obviously, the effects could be varied or even lessened to show that you've diluted the potion in some way, but this would be a great way to introduce brewing and potion making as one and the same, especially if we were going to make it so brewing didn't take days or hours. It just took maybe an hour or two, enough for an herb patch to grow. It should be akin to your birdhouse run, because that should happen before you do a bunch of the more experienced herb patches. And maybe into the later levels past 60, 70, 80, brewing really does fall off, but in the beginning it was the most viable option, or at the very least a viable option in comparison to potion. Alright, I feel like I rambled on enough about barbarian potions and brewing, but they really need to be improved in some way, and they need to stay on the same level as well. But if you guys got any ideas on how to do that, leave them in the comments. I know I took us a little off track, but we are still in the Herblore Guild. And off to the side of the bar and store area, you'll see a darker corridor, the Witch's Office. In here, you'll see a bright portal to the Sorceress's Garden, a minigame that not a lot of people realize is for Herblore as well as thieving. But if we were to improve this minigame, maybe it could have a new level, where it's not just focusing on the 4 seasons, it could focus on a different type of season, some of the seasons around Gielinor. The Tazar fire pits, swamp, jungle, or even desert sand. But this could be a brand new, harder version of the Sorceress's Garden, and you'd be able to get higher tier herbs as well. Not to mention, on her desk, you'd see a very large potion that you just can't happen to keep your hands off of. You go over to inspect it, knock it over, and now you begin to shrink smaller and smaller. And here is your introduction into our new Guardians of the Rift style minigame. You are a Ratatouille-sized person crushing ingredients and making potions as the witch tells you to do so. I'm not 100% sure what this game's mechanics would look like, but if you have a better idea for what an herb-related Guardians of the Rift style minigame could look like, leave it in the comments, y'all. Of course, a minigame like this is going to have a few different bonuses, like the Herblore outfit, or maybe even access to the Witch's Alchemy Lab, where you'd see enchanted things like enchanted Morton pedestals, alchemics, and other alchemy tools that we don't actually use in RuneScape, but the witch might. What would access to this Herblore area entail, you might ask? Something like when you're standing in that area, a +3, maybe even a +5 Herblore boost. And I'm talking about a visible one, not an invisible one. So that way you're able to just walk over to this area and make potions of a higher caliber than you're already able to do so. As the witch would be able to sell you a multitude of rewards involving the Guardians of the Rift style Herblore minigame. Also have a fun dialogue where her interest for dwarfs might shine through, making her blush a few times. Dwarves may just be her type, especially with the invention of poison dynamite. With the invention of poison dynamite, that lends itself to so many more different types of explosive potion type. Could you imagine of an explosive potion health effect that healed you over time? Or maybe you could think of a status restoration for this explosion, a stamina boost, or even an explosion that technically counts as an attack to teleport another person to Lumbridge, maybe? All of these spell or even potion effects could be added to the explosive dynamite, and it could be hilarious for the utilities in combat as well. Obviously, this idea is super out there and needs to be reined in a lot, but I'm just throwing darts at the dartboard here. You're here to say yes, no, or poke a hole in it. Something that's a little bit obvious that could be a part of improving a skill would be a quest. So some of the quest lines could be updated or improved. Like any one of the Karamja quest lines could be added onto. Or let's just say a new Joker themed My Arms Adventure style quest was introduced that introduced you into the Herblore Guild. It could be pretty awesome, and the rewards could be something like access to the guild, access to the dungeon, the Herblore experience, 100% favor in Wannai, and maybe even a new type of potion unlocked. But we can get into those rewards later, because we're going to be talking about that dungeon I just mentioned. That's going to be the Herblore Labyrinth. I actually really like that name, and I hope it sticks if something like this ever gets introduced into the game. But the Herblord's Labyrinth is going to be a reminiscent cave, like the Joger Cave, where there'd be a bunch of bioluminescent mushrooms and twisted roots tangling down from the ceiling. In this cave, you would see a bunch of different herb patches like the one up above, where you could just walk over to and pick, and it would deplete over time. But guarding this herb patch is different kind of tiered herb monsters. So the Guam patch that you walk into as soon as you walk into the cave is going to be guarded by Guam monsters. And going on past the 6 or 7 different types of monsters and patches, you're going into the Torstal patches, where you're going to be fighting like level 200 serious Torstal monsters. Or maybe even going into the very center of this labyrinth, you finally find yourself in front of the Demented Alchemist. His lair in the heart of the underground labyrinth. He's a long lost brother to the crazy Order ranged archaeologist, and his rewards are massive when you defeat him. He could throw potions and every different kind of explosive effect. Maybe he even makes the screen trippy when you get caught into one of them, but it could be an awesome fight to incorporate. Not to mention his rewards could include something like noted herbs, ancient potion recipe, and some sort of magic gear a part of what he does, or maybe he even gives you the explosive potions that you can throw. And what is this ancient potion recipe I just mentioned? Well, there's got to be a reason that we introduce a brand new set of lore and mechanics to Herblore, and that's got to be the level 100 potion. You'd be able to unlock this level 100 potion by receiving the ancient potion recipe drop from the Demented Alchemist Boss. This level 100 potion effect could be a massive increase to almost any potion that you choose, or perhaps it's a specific potion effect decided upon by Jagex in the future. It could be a massive boost to maybe duration or whatever skill you're currently trying to boost at the time, but you would only be able to make this potion with a current Herblore boost or standing in the Herblore Alchemy Lab. Well, that's what I got for you guys. Talking about a new boss, a new mini game, a whole bunch of new equipment that we could add, explosive potions, and dynamite. Herblore really has a lot of potential, and we've barely even tapped into it. If you guys think any of those ideas were cool, or even lame, leave it in the comments. I would actually like to hear it. Maybe even start a conversation on what you think could be added and what couldn't. But until next time, guys, I will see you all later. Don't forget to like, comment, or subscribe.